God, please let me know what is your calling for me, whatever it is. And even if it's be a priest, I would accept and do it. And when I made that pledge to myself and to God, I really felt something spiritual, something cleared up. Good morning. Hi, my name is John Kung, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. And it's a little bit contrary to my culture. As you know, Chinese are very modest. They don't really like to, amplify, trumpet their life, their achievements. But in the modern age, they say if you don't record it, then it didn't happen. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's in mathematics from NYU, a master's in Queens College, a master's in education in Queens College, master of religious education from UTS. And my spiritual work, I'm the pastor of Unification Church in Queens. I retired recently, but in the church I was director of fundraising, director of COP. COP stands for Collegiate Association for Research of Principle, and director of IOWC, International One World Crusade. So I have many positions. Okay, so that's what I've been doing in the last, 50 years with the church, with some jobs on the side to supplement my income. But my happiest, proudest moment is working for the Lord, as they say.
So when you got to America, can you describe to me your religious experience?
Yes, in America, everybody is Christian. Everywhere, my friends are all Christian, different types of Christian. One was a Christian Scientist, one was a Jehovah's Witness, one was, a fundamental. So I was exposed to that. And so I like the idea of Christianity. And of course, my mom, she was not a religious person. From China, we were not allowed to be religious, can't practice any religion. So I was not really bent on becoming a Christian or whatever. But in those days, where I lived was a very difficult place. It's called Harlem. Some of you know that. Harlem was dangerous for a lot of us, especially kids. They were, how would I say? There are people there that want to turn kids into addicts because then they become customers, and that's how they make their money. So, and there were reports that even kids in the junior high who didn't want to take any drug were forced to take them in the bathroom. And once you're forced to take it, you get addicted. And, whether you like it or not, you become a customer. So my mom and dad was so afraid, saying, no, this can't happen to our boy. So they say, okay, let's send him to a Catholic school. Because we heard that Catholic schools are more disciplined and there's more, safe. It's more safe. So that's how I got introduced to Catholicism. And being that the nuns and the priests were so nice to me, I decided to please them. Actually, that's what I thought. I want to please them. So I become a Catholic. So I was so happy. So that's how I become a Catholic. But as you know, being a Catholic, being religious has, spiritual significance. It made me become more aware of who God is. And little by little, I began to relate to God as I should. And to the point where I really want to please God, and I wanted to ask God, well, what is my calling? This was every good Catholic would pray for. And some would say, well, God called me to be a priest. So things like that. So I was really becoming more and more religious in the sense that I started to believe in God in a very personal way, and I wanted to do what pleases God. And that was my prayer for many years. But I never got an answer from God. Like, you will know it if God tells you something. But he never answered me because as I reflect, my prayer was always, God, tell me what you want me to do. I want to fulfill your calling for me. But don't ask me to be a priest. Now, I put that reservation in there because my mother have always encouraged me to quickly marry, have kids. I want grandkids, got to have a family. This is Chinese tradition. Chinese big on family. If you ask any Chinese, that's really the purpose of life, a big family. So I didn't want to do that. And also personally, I was looking at the priests. They're nice people, but must be very boring. They don't have a wife. They have no kids. To me, I didn't think that was the fulfillment of life. So I had that reservation. And because I had that reservation, I felt deep in my heart that God couldn't accept my query, my question, or my asking him, what is my calling? Because it was conditional. So I had to decide. I had to let go of the reservation and just somebody told me this, that you have to let go and let God. So one day, while I was in the bathroom, looking in the mirror at myself, and I really felt my life, is an empty stage if I don't know what God wants for me, right? I mean, that's what my Christian upbringing told me. I have to know, what is God's purpose for me? What is God's calling? And then I can feel fulfilled. So I was so desperate that I actually prayed to God and to myself. I said, John, I have to pray to God that, God, please let me know what is your calling for me, whatever it is. And even if it's be a priest, I would accept and do it. And when I made that pledge to myself and to God, I really felt something spiritual, something cleared up. I don't know what it was, but I felt good. And that day, when I went out to the street, I met a disciple of Reverend Moon. And that began my life of faith with the church, with Reverend Moon, for the last almost 50 years.
So you've been in the church for 50 years. What made you stay?
Well, it wasn't that easy, actually, from the very beginning. When I went to the workshop, I realized that this life would mean that I have to reject my past life, my life, the secular world, so to speak. And I wasn't really ready to do that, even though I did pray, God, just let me know, I'll do anything. But when it comes down to, doing it, it wasn't that easy. So I tried to forget this event. I was thinking, well, if I just forget about everything, then I won't be given the choice. So for 10 months, I really tried to escape this influence. And I went back to my previous activities that brought me joy, happiness, pastime, levity. And, I used to love sports, playing, games with my friends, following romantic prospects, stuff like that. And when I do those things, I actually felt very empty. I remember one instant, I love basketball and would pay money to see basketball games. And one time I was watching on TV, and it was really a spiritual experience. I just saw 10 little kids trying to grab this ball and put it into the hole where there's a net. And that was the whole game. They're competing, putting ball into the net, and then people paying so much money just to watch that. So I realized that I was in a very strange state, where everything seemed to be meaningless. Whatever I did, there was no meaning. I didn't feel any satisfaction. And I felt my spirit was very unsettled. Like I didn't feel rested. I just felt uneasy. So I really try to escape it, but I couldn't. And I really felt like God was hounding me, or use spirit to hound me, to chase me, to follow me, until I would somehow return. But at the point of 10 months, I decided I had to do something, because I realized just living as I used to live is not going to cut it. So I did promise God, maybe I'll be a priest, all right? I did say that. So I did go to a seminary, Catholic seminary. It's called the Trinitarian from Maryland. And they had a workshop for prospects, for people like me who may want to be a priest. So when I went there, the priest, the brotherhood, they call them, knew what I was faced against. And they tried to explain to me about what God wants, this and that. And one of the days they had was a novitiate, they call it, where they go down to the street and they serve the poor. And they realized that I was struggling spiritually. They said, well, for you, you don't have to come with us. You can just stay back and pray. So I was all alone in a big monastery, and I was praying, and I went out into the basketball court. Since I like basketball, as I told you, I started to shoot hoops, try to see what is this all about? What is God telling me? And in the background, I can see bombs going off, like red bomb. And I was thinking, are we in war? I didn't read any news that we're at war. Of course, later I realized it wasn't a real war. It was a spiritual experience. And what the spiritual experience told me is that there is a war, and you are asked to kind of get involved. God is asking you to be relevant to the young people. That was very clear. That if I want to do something, I need to do something for the young people, because they are the future, and if we can guide the young people in the right direction, we might be able to save the world, so to speak. So, and I was thinking, well, what if I be a priest? Maybe that's what you want me to be. He said, well, at that time, back in the day when I was, struggling with this question, the priesthood had lost its veneer. A lot of young people are not paying attention. They're not really respecting priests anymore. So the message was, no, I don't need you to be a priest. So I was thinking, well, if I come here thinking you want me a priest, I'll stay. But since the message is, no, you don't need to be a priest, then I'll just go back. And the only other option I have is go back to the Unification Church and go to the workshop and see if that's where you want me to be. So I went back, and my so-called spiritual father was kind of surprised. You'll come back after 10 months. What? I didn't even call you. I said, listen, let me go to your workshop. And I did a 3-day fast on my own. And of course, my spiritual father, oh, no, you're supposed to, offer it to your able. I said, forget it. I'm going to do my 3-day fast. And then he actually did it with me. And after 3 days, I had some confirmation that God wants me to stay. And that's why I stay in the church. And then, like I said earlier, I had an experience in the back of a van from fundraising, okay, because that's one of the first trainings we have. When you join the church, you learn how to fundraise. And I was in the back of the van, very cold day, it's cold night, and I was just feeling like, we were cold, we were kind of, in a van, lonely place. But anyway, I prayed to God at that time, or to the spirit world. I said, wow, I'm in this situation. How is my spirit? I'm checking my own spirit. How does it feel? And to my surprise, I feel very settled. As I was saying earlier, when the 10 months I was trying to run away from the church, I felt spiritually unsettled. And but now at the back of a van in fundraising, of all things, I feel very calm, very settled, very good about myself. So that was a confirmation that I made the right choice to join the church, and that my spirit was confirming to me, yes, John, you made the right choice. So it's really a journey of me learning about God through the direction of Reverend Moon. And we did a lot of activities that we would not do on our own. But because Reverend Moon encouraged us, I had so many experiences with God, with the people, and I just have to thank Reverend Moon for giving us this kind of real world chance.